Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of Homer, and we're reading Odyssey Book 6, and we're up to line 149. And here is where Odysseus, having had was in two minds. He wasn't sure whether to appeal to her by touching her knees or whether to stand back and try and use cunning words, and he decides on the latter. And in this rather lovely speech we get here, he praises her for her beauty and then in the usual way asks for assistance. So gunumai se anasa theos nu ti se brotos esi. So this is from gonumai. We get a lengthened vowel here for the sake of meter, but it's from gonu. I bend the knee to you, so I beseech you, anasa, literally queen, but it's just a very polite term here. And we get a question. So esi is the second person singular from Amy. So are you in fact some god or a mortal? So are you then some god or mortal? But if you are a god, those who hold broad heaven, now the main verb's right down here. We get ego, and the main verb is eisko, and it goes with this adverbial ankista, most nearest to. So I liken you most closely to Artemis, and there's the se, indeed, and then an apposition to Artemis, the daughter of great Zeus, in your eidos, your good looks, your stature, your megathos, and in your phue, well, your form. So it's the way you are born. So your not so much stature, but your figure is the word I'm looking for. Yep. So in your beauty, your stature, and your figure. Eidetis esi broton, but if you are among mortals, so partitive genitive, if you are one of mortals, who nai etausi, who dwell, it's an extension form of that nio, to dwell, who dwell upon the land. We get a nice men and de, so he's really laying it on quite thick here. Tris makaras men soi gepatek hypotnia mater. So thrice blessed, 3 times blessed is your father and your lady mother for you indeed. So your father and lady mother are indeed twice blessed and stated of the possessor. And tris mekares de casignetai malapusvisi thumos ien eophrosunesin I ainatai henika seo Luson turn toyon di thalos koron es oik nusan. And so thrice blessed are your brothers, and so for them, perhaps very much, to do it literally, so the soul, the thumos for them, so their soul perhaps is very much continually, einatai is warmed with happiness, so dative plural here from euphrosune, with happiness, henika seo, on account of you. In later Greek, henika normally comes afterwards, but in Homer you often get it before, so on your account. And then we get a genitive depending on, well, we had a dative up here, but this often happens that it's turning into a genitive. So the soul of them as they look upon, toyon di thalos, well, something like so delicate a flower, thalos from thallo to bloom, so delicate a flower as you go into the dance, from ace oik neamai here, as you go into the dance. Kenos de ao perikeri makatatos exakon alon, and he moreover Now the peri here is probably adverbials like peri, so, successively. So he is excessively blessed, moreover. Exokon alone, this takes a genitive, so beyond all, exceeding all others. So he is blessed who, now there's some debate about exactly what this is here. Brisas ednos. Ednos is, ednon is a bride gift, so a wedding gift. And some people translate this as having prevailed by means of his wedding gifts. It's literally just weighed down by gifts, so I'll leave it to the commentators to work out which of those two it is. I'll just translate it literally. So who weighed down by gifts, agagetai. Now ago, especially in the middle, is used for taking a bride back home. So who leads you, there's the set there, oikondi, to the house. So who takes you back as a bride to the house. Ugapo toi uton ego idon ophthalmoisi. For I, upo, never have I seen with my eyes, toi uton, such a thing. Or perhaps such a person, because he does then say ut aner ut gunaika, neither a man nor a woman. And sebas, well, it's hard to translate this, it's awe, A-W-E. So it's sort of holy reverence holds me as I look upon you. And indeed, once, now the main verb's down here, and not esa, I noticed beside the Delian altar of Apollo, or perhaps in Delos beside the altar of Apollo, such, and then neon enos, such a new young sapling of a phoenix. This is a palm tree, and it was, this is neuter, so as it was springing up, going up, as it was springing up. For also I came Casey there, and a huge host, polus laos, a large, literally people, but often translated as host, just a group of people. So a large host followed me, from hepamai, takes a dative, on the path, or on the road, hey, on which, in fact, now, yeah, kakakedias, the subject, neuter plural singular verb, where evil cares, emelon, were about, esesthai, infinitive from Amy, literally to be for me, where I was about to experience evil cares. Host de autos, and thus in the same way also, looking at Kano, this, and this is referring back to this Ernos, so looking at this plant, etethapia, this is a funny word I marvel at. It only occurs in the this perfect form. This is a past tense of this perfect form. So I marveled at it in my thumos, in my heart, Dane, for a long time. Epe upo, for not yet had toion. This again refers back to this Ernos. So for not yet had such a plant. So no, sorry, it probably goes with the doru, and the ek goes with gaias. So such a tree had grown up, had come up. This is that other form of aelthon, ek gaias, from the earth, from the land. Thus also, so also gune, O woman. This is the vocative, and it's simply formed from the it's simply formed from the root of gune, gunaikos. So thus also, woman, I am agamai, I stand in wonder, and tethepa, and I marvel at. It's that same word we had up here in the past tense, and here it's the well, it's a perfect in form but present in meaning. So I am amazed and I wonder at and I fear, I knows terribly. Gunon hapsasthai, to touch your knees. But a kalipon, a terrible grief comes upon me. Penthos is neuter, so we get kalipon. So a terrible grief comes upon me. Ktisdos, yesterday, kosto hemati, on the 20th day, probably 19 days because inclusive counting, but anyway, so yesterday on the 20th day, fugon for Ephugon, I fled the wine-faced sea. Now we get, when you see Tofra, you look down to see if there's an Ofra, and there it is down here, so we get Tofra Ia, and then we're going to get the Ofra, perhaps with Poo here. So during that time, for the Tofra and with the IA, so continually during that time, a kuma, a wave, was carrying me, a wave, and Kripne Thuela. Now, Thuela is a blast of wind, but it's generally not a very pleasant blast of wind. So thick blasts of wind, or perhaps frequent blasts of wind, were carrying me. Now, this is a singular verb going with kuma. You often get this in Greek, where you get singular subject, singular verb, and then you get another second subject here, but the verb stays in the singular. This is quite common in Greek, and it happens in English as well. So during that time, continually, the wave was carrying me, and also these krypnos, something like sudden blasts of wind, from the island of Ogygia. And now Daimon, the god, Kabali is from kata plus balo, and so the form of this would be kat ebali, but you get a concatenation here, and the tor gets turned into a beta before the next beta. So this is actually from kata and balo. So, but now a god has cast me down enthadi here, Ophrati, so that I might, and this is the poo, in some way suffer, I might in some way suffer evil also, taidi, in this place. So be careful of kai, it can mean and, but can also mean also, and you've got to look carefully at the context. So that I perchance might suffer some evil, taidi, also in this place. Uga oio parsest. Now they've elided an alpha anti-ota here. This is actually an infinitive, and this does happen in Homeric Greek, so it's actually an infinitive. For I do not think, but the subject of the infinitive must be this daimon. I do not think this god will give up, will cease, but the gods, paroithen, before that time, the gods will fulfill many things further. Allah, come, Anasa, queen, Eli Ire, have pity on me. Sega kakapola mogesas, for having suffered many evil things, I have come, es protein se, I've come to you first of all. I've come to you as the first one. And turn alone u tina oida anthropon. I do not know any of the other men, hoitendi polin kai gaia who have or live in this city and this land. so perhaps who possess this city and land. Astudemoi it's imperative here from date numi, so point out to me the city, so indicate where the city is, and dos, imperative from didomi, give me rakos, a rag. This is cognate with our word rag. It's from rag numi, to in the sense of to tear. So give to me a rag, amphibalestai, middle, to put around myself. Aetipu elumasperon eches enthadi I usa. If perchance, having come here, you have ti eluma. This is from this is that ala root of wrapping. So if you have some wrapping of clothes. So if you have come here, if having come here, you brought with you, you have some, perchance, some wrapping of clothes. Soidetheoi tosadoyen hosafresi seisi manoias. So this is an optative of wish here, and may the gods grant such things to you, Tossa and Hossa, such things to you as you desire in your heart, and may andra tekoi oikon kai homophosune opesean estlain. Again, another optative of wish here. And may they grant or give to you an andra, a husband, and a house, and good homophosune, harmony, literally thinking the same thing, so harmony. Umengar tu gekreson kaireon e homophrionte no masin oikon ekaton ane edigune. For there is not anything greater or better indeed, don't forget the little particles, than hot for hote, when a man and a woman, this is a dual here from echo, so it's a dual form, probably dual subjunctive, whenever the two of them have a house, and the two of them being harmonious in their thoughts. Polyalgia dos meneesin, understand esti, it is much grief to their enemies, but karmata eu menetesi, but a source of joy to their friends, to those who are well disposed to them. Malista de ekluon autoi. Funny little final line here. The te is often used, it's not translatable, it's often used in generalized statements, and that's true both in Homer and in Greek tragedy as well. Sort of generalizing te. It's they were hearing Malista most of all. So what does it mean? Well, it's something like they especially have a good reputation. So to hear and understand something good means you get a good reputation, so you hear nice things said about you. So I'll just translate that, for they themselves then have a good reputation. That is, the man and the woman, I presume it's referring to here, who live in this pleasant way. And that's the end of this section of our reading, and we'll continue in the next recording.